My people, we're ready to mount up like an eagle. Stand and fight against evil. A system rigged and deceitful.
What up, King Talks family? This is your boy Cliff Means coming at you live and direct. I know it's been a while, right? It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to, but you ain't got to worry about that because King Talks is coming at you stronger and harder than ever in the year 2020. I should say King Talks with Sean Slaughter because our host is committed more than ever. You guys who have been loyal and down with us, people have been asking us, man, when's the next podcast dropping? Believe me, we have been getting a structure in place that's going to allow us to post consistently because Lord knows we've been coming at you guys with some tremendous content over the last couple years, but our goal and commitment in 2020 is to come at you more frequently. And so get used to hearing from Sean Slaughter even more on a vast array of topics, but also we're going to continue to bring you some of the most intriguing and fascinating guests that you can find in the podcast space. I believe that we come with that level of content. But I'm here not because as a guest host or not to what do they call it? This is not a coup. I am coming to announce a special campaign that we are going to be running during the month of Black History. Many of you guys know that King is a national Christian men's movement that aims to help men reach their God-given potential in every realm of life. We want to help men become the husbands, fathers, leaders, citizens, and role models that God created them to be. And we want to do that through building true Christian brotherhood, man. Brotherhood that's rooted in love, respect, and genuine desire to see men reach their God-given potential. And that's what we're about. But we also do not shy away from the realities that exist for many men of color, particularly in this country. And part of the reason why we take up that responsibility is because the church, being a Christian movement, the church has also played a major role in the distortion of the image that God has created us in, right? Genesis tells us that God created men and women in his own image, right? And when you actually do a study of that and you study Mesopotamian culture and society, you will actually find that means that God created us in the image of kings and queens. All men and women were created in the image of kings and queens, and yet racism has helped distort that reality. And so we feel a responsibility as King to challenge and debunk and oppose the ways that racism in all its forms, whether it's political, sociological, emotional, however it shows up, we feel a responsibility to debunk that distortion, to undo that distortion, and instill in our men, because King is intentional about reaching men, but as well as women, of course. But our direct mission is to speak directly to men, specifically as it pertains to the ways that America has targeted African American men historically, and whether it's intentional or it's the effects. People like to debate that. Is it the effects of racism or is it direct racism? Like, we don't care. I don't care. Let me speak for myself. I don't care. The impacts remain with us today. The impacts of those original sins, when the men wrote those words in our Declaration of Independence and throughout our Constitution and inferred that we were all equal, but yet were intentional about avoiding words like slavery and not talking directly about slavery. That same kind of contradiction has existed in our church, where we say we're all created in God's image, and yet we do things and behave in a way that doesn't communicate that message. And so America has been complicit in that, but so is the church. And so we want to oppose that and be intentional about that. This month, King, I said all that to say that King is going to take the opportunity this month during February to be even more intentional about that than we normally are. And this is meant to be a celebration. Again, I talk about distortion, right? So undoing that distortion of the image of kings and queens that we were created in, that's not just telling a story about slavery, right? Or even mass incarceration. In some ways, if that's all we talk about, then we contribute to that distortion, because that is not the reality or the only part of African American history. So we want to tell a diverse story that not only talks about the pains and the injustices, because that is a part of our story that we are going to continue to talk about, but also the triumphs, the creativity, the overcoming, the artistry, the financial prowess, the royalty, right? Our communities. We are going to tell a large, vast story, and no better way for us to tell that than through our own men. King is a organization made up of 13 chapters across the country, with men who live at every intersection of society: upper class, middle class, wealthy, poor, some formerly incarcerated, others unjustly incarcerated, even middle class, Cosby style. When I say, let me be careful with the Cosby word, I'm talking about the show, okay? The show, all right? Get it straight. We ain't got Cosbys running around putting stuff in folks' drinks. No, I'm talking about people who grew up, like the Huxtables. So we run the gamut. You know what I'm saying? And we want to use those stories that exist within our own movement to tell the larger narrative about Black history. So please join us. Please join us. Be a part of this. Follow us. Follow us on Instagram. Don't just listen to the podcast on Apple or Spotify or Stitcher or Google Play or SoundCloud or YouTube. Yes, we're on all of those. But follow us on Instagram, because that's where we're going to be doing we're going to be posting on how each story relates to a larger narrative in Black history. So follow us at Kings of the Movement, KINGS of the Movement. It's not KINGZ, right? Just because we Black don't mean we use Z on every hashtag. It's Kings of the Movement, okay? KINGS of the Movement at Instagram. So holler at us there. You will see it, the I Am King campaign. And man, we're going to be rocking out there throughout the month of February. You could expect anywhere from 2 to 3 podcasts, maybe even 4 per week. We're going to be coming with those stories. These are part of a special series. We got a special guest host, True Pettigrew, who's going to be doing those interviews. True Pettigrew is a dynamic brother, man. He happens to be the president of the King Raleigh chapter. Many of you may know him from he's been nationally recognized for the barbershop rap sessions that he's done in Raleigh, North Carolina, that has created a dialogue between cops and local police officers and the community, which is, and people, Black folks in the community talking to police with other white folks, having these conversations. And True Pettigrew's business, or I should not say business, but his life's calling, he is the CEO of True Access, which is a bridge building community organization that brings people together from traditionally opposed groups. So whether it's millennials and Gen Xers, or it's, cops in the community, or it's Black folks and white folks, or Democrats and Republicans, he creates dialogue amongst them and has conversations that aim to build common ground over time and greater understanding of diversity and inclusion. So, man, holler at this dude. It is a privilege to have this guy as our guest host for the next 3 weeks or so. And look him up, man, True Pettigrew, and learn more about what he does in our community, because he is a king who is contributing to creating a legacy of Black history that we could all be proud of. But join us for my men. Last plug here for my men who want to get down with the movement. We have a national summit coming up in March 27th through the 29th in Charlotte, North Carolina. please pull up to that, man. That is the best way to get plugged in. That's our largest event of the year, where men from all across the country come together. We are hoping to have 1,000 men out in Charlotte this year. That is the way to get plugged in. We will have our crowning ceremony where members get inducted into King annually. We also do local, but our largest King ceremony happens at the National Summit every year. We got over 15 speakers that are pulling up this year. We got Chris Broussard headlining, our founder and president, Derwin Gray. We have Jamar Tisby, the renowned historian and co-host of Pass the Mic podcast, who you've also heard on our podcast. We got Speech, the Grammy Award-winning Arrested Development artist. Take me to another place. Y'all know. See, some of y'all don't know about that. Okay. But he's pulling up, man. He's going to bring some powerful stuff. He's also been on the King Talks podcast. We got Paul Cole, president of Christian Men's Network. We got Justin Giboney, president, founder, co-founder of the I.A.M.K. campaign. Y'all know that brother's a powerful brother. We got to have him on the podcast soon. Damon Richardson. Oh, that's a name that if you know that name, you got to be at this summit, man. This dude comes with the heaviness. Blessed our socks off last year with his workshop in urban apologetics. So pull up, man. I wasn't able to get to everyone, but we got a full lineup. KingSummit2020.com. Go to KingSummit2020.com and see what's going on, how to get plugged in. Cost ranges from $10 to $60 for the full weekend to be a part. That being said, I Am King campaign, get ready for it. It's going down this month. Follow us on Instagram. Check out the podcast. I've already heard some of these stories. They are going to blow your mind. We are just excited about it. Black History Month, I Am King. We are Black History. Our stories are Black History. Strong in the Lord, y'all.
Dying over streets when God gave him the earth. It's all in the Bible, just do your research. White man's religion, that's just fake news. The cross hit Africa for Europe even knew. This ain't black versus white, this is dark versus light. But racism might distract you from the Christ on sight. So here's the Visine, me and my team. Dark world, but we flipping on a high beam. King, K is for the knowledge, I is to inspire. N for the nurture, the G is to grow higher. Jesus lit the match, so we all on fire. You see a crown on the attire, know you looking at a fighter.
My people, we're ready for mount up.